here is the beginning of Esther Trail, Chipita Park, Colorado. You've heard the term golden stairs before. Most of your trails that you're going to see in the state of Colorado are probably going to have something called the golden stairs. It's really just boulders, or in this case, ties. So you got those stairs to go up. We're about a quarter of the way up. There'll be one more set of these as you go up Mount Esther. Once you hit the last set, you're pretty much where you need to be, almost to the top. One thing you definitely want to be careful of is what's called scree. Scree is nothing but loose gravel on the trail. When you're looking at these railroad ties or these landscaping timbers and you see rocks on top of them, that's very slick. It's always interesting to look at the rocks and how they're just there, and you wonder, did it erode? Did they fall and land there? How exactly did that happen? And you always look for signs of animals, animal dens, because it is springtime in the Rockies and black bear are definitely out. You don't have to worry so much about black bear, just be aware. That's really the main thing. Just watch your surroundings, listen for mountain lion, and look for signs of bear. But when I was talking about where animals would sleep, this is one example that I would probably talk to. That would be a great place for a mountain lion to rest, relax, and enjoy a warm afternoon. But just to look at these rocks, just to see how they are positioned in the ground. You can see this one chunk right here is going to fall someday. Hopefully nobody helps it along. But that's going to be one little piece. And it looks like it's just hanging out of the ground. But if you go around it and you look at the rest of it, you can see that it actually goes down in the ground for who knows how far. Maybe it's part of the mountain. Look at that. It's just sticking out of the ground. And the big boulders, look up there. They're just sitting there. Wow. It's amazing country. I was talking earlier about the golden stairs or stairs. A lot of your trails are going to have stairs or steps like this. They just use a natural rock and make it to where there's steps on the trail when they develop it. Try to make it a little bit easier for folks like me. You can hear me breathing hard. It's my first real extreme hike of the season. I'm not too sure how it's going to come out on the camera, but one thing to be aware of when you're hiking in the mountains is what I call a wash. If you see that right there, you can tell that's where water runs down. And if you look up there, then you can see that's where the water comes down from the mountain. So it comes down, you can see all the debris, pine needles collected. So if you get caught out here in a rainstorm, just be aware where the water runs to, because we can get a lot of rain in a short period of time, especially around monsoon season. So it's one thing to be aware of as well. And here's one of the other kinds of mosses too. Just interesting. Very dry. And right up there is Observation Rock. We're almost there. The trail just goes up and up and up. You know you're getting close to the top when you can start to see a little breaks in the trees, like through here. It's not just all trees. You can see some sky in between them. That's one way to tell. And we're getting closer. You can see it's a long way down. That's basically where I started from. And it just keeps going up. Beautiful views though. That's the whole point. That's the whole point for any climb. Mount Esther is rated difficult, and I think a lot of it is just due to the steepness. There's a few areas where you almost have to scramble, but not quite. But it is a beautiful hike. I can see some blue sky between the trees. That means we're getting closer. Here is the last set of steps or stairs that I was talking about earlier. One more set. Then I'm going to take you to Observation Point. Beautiful area. You know, I see a lot of people hiking up here in the mountains or on trails, and most of the time they are just going as quick as they can go. They're not looking anywhere, they're looking down. And that's one of the biggest injustices, I think, that you can do to yourself when you're hiking, because there's so much to see. I guarantee you they don't see a lot of the trees, a lot of the rocks, a lot of the animals. I was on the trail earlier and noticed rocks coming down in front of me, small rocks, but something disturbed it, and that's what caused it to fall. So I really took my time to look up the hill and see if there was a mountain lion or anything else there. I didn't see anything, but that doesn't happen very often. But when it does, stop and take notice. Take a look around you, see what's there. Don't just keep your head down, because there's just too much beauty that you'll miss if you do that. And it's just so beautiful up here. One of the key things too that I find interesting anyway, some may not, but it's just to look at the different kinds of moss that there is around on these trees. To me, that's just so cool. All the different kinds of moss. You can see how that little light and fluffy and green. And the moss too is very handy if you get cut and you don't have anything to wrap it with, or if it's a bad wound, you can actually pack it with this, and that'll at least help to hold the wound and absorb some of the fluid. Not the best thing to do, but it definitely works, because this is just about as sterile as you're going to get in the wild, and as well it's dry and absorbent. But there's over 3 kinds of mosses up here on Mount Esther that I've seen, and there may even be more. But I just find it interesting to look at the different kinds, the different flowers. And in the springtime up here especially, they have some beautiful, beautiful flowers. Hopefully I'll see some at the top. And we are coming into it. Look at that. So, what you're seeing off in the distance, the snow-capped mountains, is Mount Princeton. Then you got Mount Harvard, Mount Yale down in that direction. And right now we're looking at the town of Woodland Park, Colorado, which is just up the road from here. And on down here you can see Colorado Springs way off in the distance. Beautiful up here. One of my most favorite spots. I don't know how it'll turn out on my GoPro, but if you can see that red roof and there's a red and white tower down there, that is the North Pole. And the North Pole is an amusement park, great for kids probably 12 and under. A lot of kiddie rides. It's geared for everything Christmas. Everything Christmas. They have Santa Claus, they have Mrs. Claus, and all the rides are Christmas themed. But we took our granddaughter there, and she was a little young, but I think she had fun. I look forward to doing that when she's a little bit older as well. But you can see the houses down below. The interesting part is most of these seem to only be occupied in the summertime. It's just too bad because the winters here are gorgeous too, and hiking in the winter is one of the best things. Nobody around, although I haven't seen anybody on the trail today. But it is kind of early. It's just now barely 8 o'clock. I like getting up and getting out and being done. But that is it. We're almost to the top now. One of the best parts about up here at the top, when you finally get here, you can see it just opens up into this huge valley. It's just beautiful. And you get not only pine trees, but now you can also see aspen groves over there. There's aspens over here. Aspens are interesting trees because when you see a grove of them, they're all interconnected. Their roots all join, so it's one living organism. It's beautiful up here. I'll have to take you back up here again in the fall when the aspens turn golden. It's just gorgeous. You see all the clumps of trees that have been cut down. They're everywhere. And the U.S. Forestry Service has done some work last year and kind of thinned it down. One thing that you may have noticed on some of the video is across here, when you're looking at Orms Peak, which is what I'm showing you now, the Orms Range, Orms Ridge. It's kind of hard to see. I'll get you a better shot here after a while. But you can see through there, the trees are a little sparse. And when I get back down a little bit further towards the east, then I'll show you that more. But there was the actual Waldo Canyon fire that came through there, and it stopped just about right here. So all of this range here was spared. But unfortunately, the entire Waldo Canyon, which was a great hiking area, did not get spared. One of the big concerns that I have whenever up here is you can see evidence that people had to have a fire. They had to have a campfire. And that's one of the most dangerous things. When you're looking at the pine, all these dry pine needles, I mean, it doesn't take but just a little bit to really get it going. And the thatch, this is probably about 2 feet thick of just pine needles in some areas. And this would go up like a Roman candle. So one of my biggest concerns is when people just think they have to have a campfire. And I mean, I live on this mountain. I would very much hate for a forest fire to roll through, but you can see here too, they had to have a fire and they leave trash. It's so disrespectful to the land and to everybody else that enjoys it. All right, let's move on. I'm going to show you the Ring the Peak system, and then I'll explain a little bit of that when I get back home. But I'll show you some of this, and we will go from there, and then we start heading back down. Alright, so Ring the Peak system here. You can see how you have the green and you have the brown. Then it can kind of lead you which way to go. So the green, basically, Ring the Peak means that you're going around Pikes Peak. And with that, the green will take you counterclockwise, and the brown will take you clockwise. So it just depends which way you want to go. I had a message on my GoPro that said not enough SD card space, but it looks like it's working, so hopefully we'll be good. And so this right here would be the clockwise trail, and that's heading towards the east, southeast. And then this one here will take you on over to the Garden of Eden and to Green Mountain Falls and a lot of other areas there. I believe you can take this all the way through to Cripple Creek. I'll have to research that and see. But this is basically what it looks like up here, and it's just it's gorgeous because it opens up into this huge meadow. Just beautiful.